speaking about quarterbacks, a team that you follow very closely and that you played for in the Denver Broncos have a three-headed quarterback monster, competition going on right now. And one thing that I found interesting was a guy that you played with and won a Super Bowl with in 1994 was Steve Young. A lot of people don't know this because we're so far removed from it, Ed, but Steve had 2 seasons where he went 2-14 in Tampa Bay before he was traded to the 49ers. And he was able to resurrect his career, become a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I'm not saying that necessarily needs to happen for a guy like Zach Wilson. We saw Drew Brees become a Hall of Famer with Sean Payton. We saw Alex Smith become a solid, great, really good NFL quarterback when Jim Harbaugh came to the 49ers. And then when he subsequently went to the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid. Do you think that a guy like Zach Wilson can rebuild himself under a coach like Sean Payton there in Denver?
Yeah, I do. He had a rough start, no doubt about it. They had all kinds of issues in New York with the Jets. And the plan was Aaron Rodgers was going to be the starter all year. You're going to learn from a Hall of Famer. Yep. And you're going to sit back and reset, right? Reset, learn from a Hall of Famer, improve your game, be a better quarterback at the end of the season. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he got thrown back into the fire, in and out of there. And I mean, you've watched quarterbacks who are getting – and they had a lot of injuries on their offensive line, right? I mean, they just did. They had a lot of injuries on their offensive line. He was getting pummeled. And, man, you get hit long enough, then you start getting happy feet or, you stop looking down the field. And I think it really can mentally affect a quarterback. You got to be super strong to kind of withstand a couple of rough seasons and not let it affect you. But I think Coach Payton, he's a little bit of a quarterback whisperer. I even saw a lot of improvement in Russell Wilson's game from his first year to his second year. His numbers were way better, and I thought he was more productive. I think they're pretty high on Nix right now in Denver. I mean, he's obviously the guy they drafted early. And I personally will be shocked if he's not the starter day one, but they got Stidham and Wilson and Nix all taking snaps. But I think Nix is the guy. I think he's the guy that most reminds Coach Payton of Drew Brees, who he had so much success with. And I think he has experience, played a lot of years in college, and he has a really good processor. But there is a competition going on. Regarding Zach, I think it'd probably do him good, right? Hey, let me learn from Coach Payton. Let me get comfortable with an offense. I don't know how his body's feeling, but let me recover.
Right.
And hopefully improve as a quarterback and a player and get another chance to be a starter at some point in his career. I played on 3 different teams in 5 years before my career even took off. And I was a receiver, but I think that you saw Geno Smith. He sat out for like 10 years.
Yeah, he did.
He became a star. 10 years, right? I mean, that's like, wow. And then became a starter again in Seattle. So I think that potentially could happen for him, and I hope it does. I think this year it's going to be tough to be a starter with Nix there, but hopefully he'll get better, learn from Coach Payton, learn from being able to observe, take notes, practice, and revive his career.
No, that's so well put. And I agree that Zach can turn things around, and it doesn't like some of the examples I gave are extreme examples, right? No one's expecting him to come in and become Steve Young. No one's expecting him to be Drew Brees, but with a coach like Sean Payton, they wanted him. And that to me is the start. Another team wanted you. You can come in and feel comfortable, but I'm a Bo Nix guy. 100%, Ed. And I think Sean said that Bo Nix and Drew Brees are similar. It's just that Brees wasn't the son of a coach. So how do you think that kind of plays itself into allowing Bo Nix to make that transition? And how can the Broncos set him up for success?
Well, I'm pretty familiar with what Coach Payton did when he was at New Orleans with Drew Brees, because outside of what we stole from your Washington playbook, I also stole my son Max played for the Saints for about 2 to 3 weeks before he ended up signing, I think, with a guy he went to Jacksonville after that because they activated him. But I had access to their passing game, and we stole a lot of especially their quick concepts to get the ball in and out of Luke's hands when he was a quarterback in high school. And so I'm familiar with some of their concepts and how they teach the progressions. And I think it will lend itself very well to Bo Nix. Again, because he's smart, he has a ton of experience. He's a super fast processor. My son Luke played with him at the Senior Bowl, And he said nobody had a better grasp of what they were trying to do offensively. He got the plays in and out of the huddle. You know, you have a headset. They're going past their allotment for talking. The ball's about to get snapped. He was a leader, and he grasps all the concepts as well as anyone that he's ever been around. So I heard since the Senior Bowl that he was the real deal. But obviously, he had a great collegiate career, has a lot of years of experience as a starter. And so I don't think Bo Nix is entering this year like as a normal rookie. You're talking about a guy that has 4 or 5 years of college experience, you know, as a leader at the All-Star game, and now is already turning heads a little bit during OTAs. I think he's going to be more ready to go than maybe a quarterback you see that start at 1 year in college, and all of a sudden he's got to be the starter in the NFL. And from what, you know, I try to read between the lines what Coach Payton's saying, what the other coaches are saying, what the reporters are saying, and everything has been positive. Like, I'm trying to interpret, and sometimes you can tell they're saying something positive, but they really are hesitant or skeptical. They're very high on what Bo Nix has done so far. So again, I'll be shocked if he's not the starter. You still have to go out and play the game. Right. But I think he's the real deal. I think they're super happy with him. I think the offense will look more like what it did in New Orleans. You know, every year, even in New Orleans, every year the offense changes a little bit, right? But yeah. I think it'll look a little more like that than maybe what it looked like in Denver the last couple of years. And that's not to say that Coach Payton didn't try to incorporate some of those concepts into the game. He mentioned, you know, this isn't reading between the lines, he mentioned he would like less sacks. Right?
Yes.
And to you, that means, right, get the ball out of your hands quickly. Like, we can't 100%. Take losses. And so in order to do that, you have to, you know, be able to have great anticipation and go through progression quickly, or eliminate one side of the field, or find out where to go with the ball in 2.2 seconds, right? And so I think so far the feeling is Bo Nix has the ability to do that, to get the ball in and out of his hands, get it to his playmakers. You know, the playmakers are going to have to make plays, right? The quarterback can dish it, but at some point they got to run the ball. The playmakers have to make plays. But I think we're going to see a little more of that, what it looked like when Drew Brees was in there, than what we've seen the last couple of years in Denver.
RG3 and the Ones is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. We're making bank, people. It's as simple as this. You need to select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Boom. Daily fantasy sports is made easy with Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/RG3 and use code RG3 for a first deposit match of up to $100. It's a lot of money, y'all.